ER doctor reacts to most painful skateboarding fails ever. Ever, guys. Doctor reacting to skate slams. I think it's kind of an interesting idea because obviously Doctor is very smart and knows a lot about the human body, but I feel like they will know absolutely nothing about skating. So I feel like they may be extremely noob, kind of. But we'll see, like, because maybe they'll watch someone roll their ankle and be like, oh, he broke all the bones, blah, blah, blah. I'm kind of curious to see, like, what they think.
Nice. Oh!
But see, like,
possible spine injuries, traumatic brain damage, and other moments that professional skateboarders wish they could instantly take back. Today, we are breaking down and reacting to all the unexpected medical scenes and gnarly injuries from the X Games and other skateboarding sessions. Let's dive right in.
Oh, you know who that was, guys? Garrett Jenner, instantly. Is it okay if my face isn't that close? I think we're alright, right? We can still see him. Bro, Garrett Jenner makes it into the Doctor reacts. That's legendary.
Oh! Oh!
Okay,
man.
so like...
You've heard me speak about major traumas or anything greater than 15
You react to the
feet.
official worst one ever.
15 feet, that was a lot. And a good thing to point out is he's wearing a helmet, so the helmet is protecting his noggin to a certain extent. If you have so much force, the helmet will reduce a little bit of it, but you're still gonna have a massive amount of force to the head. But I have seen a lot of head injuries where the helmet is broken, cracked, the foam on the inside is broken, cracked, but the head is fine.
The heaviest slam we've ever seen.
Oh, that is so high. Landing right on the back and hip. Oh. Turning and being able to manipulate your body and land on your lower back hip. Would it be better to land on the front versus the back? You're landing right on your back. You're exposing your spine to significant...
That's actually interesting because I've listened to interviews where Jake Brown talks about this. So like you can't really see in the full clip, but he did a mega ramp jump and then he landed off balance and then like shot away from the ramp. I feel like everyone knows the clip anyway. And then he fell from the height of the mega ramp, which is like 30 feet, plus his like 10 feet in the air. So he literally fell from like 40 feet. But I remember Jake Brown saying, as he was falling, he was like, you know what? I think I'm going to turn around at the last second. He said that was like a conscious choice because he thought like maybe it's like his face is not going to hit the ground because he's going to turn. But it's interesting this guy said that was a bad idea.
Amount of trauma. And landing on your hip, you can have a femoral neck fracture. You can trash your pelvis and break it in any spot. And the problem with the pelvis fractures is they can potentially bleed a lot because major vessels run through there.
That's all he has to say about it?
Oh!
I'm pretty sure that guy was fine. I don't know who that was that did that vert slam, but I'm pretty sure that they were 100% fine and they just, well, not 100% fine, but pretty sure they got up and took another round.
One of the concerns for injuries at these type of ramps is the edge. You can snap an ankle, you can hit your leg, you can totally just miss it and land on the platform at the top, which people who skateboard, obviously, you know what I'm talking about.
Know what I mean?
This injury...
See, like, that's what I mean, kind of like a noob. He's saying you hit the vert, and you just go, whoops, I landed on the flat top deck. Whoops, I landed to flat. It's like, I mean, that doesn't really happen, but like, okay.
Hard to exactly tell, but you know, think about it. You can snap your tibia and your fibula, right? The lower part of your leg. You can have a tibial plateau fracture, which is the top part making up your knee. Then you have to have hardware put in there.
See, this is what I'm saying, how noob is he going to be. What he's literally saying is that there's a quarter, the skaters go up, and they come down and they snap their legs or they snap their ankles. Like, I don't think that's ever happened.
The tibia is fractured on the shaft. You have to potentially either have a long metal plate or a rod going through called a medullary rod. Oh!
Garrett Jenner in the building.
Where's his wrist guards, elbow guards, knee guards?
Come on, Garrett. You should have won the wrist guards.
These things. The first thing you typically do when you fall is try to reach out to brace yourselves. And we see a lot of wrist fractures that occur that way. When somebody comes in and they have a fall and they tell us, I don't know what happened, one of the first things we look for are brace injuries. So you're trying to see, were you aware that you were falling and you put your arms out to brace yourself to break the fall, which means you didn't pass out,
Yo, this video is actually kind of weak. Homie, let's look at it again. This is not a brace fall. He's sideways. Like, what do you want him to do? You want him to just hit his face on the ground? Like, he must brace a little bit.
Oh!
And like he didn't, he barely even did.
Oh! So to brace yourself to break the fall, which means you didn't pass out, you just fell. He falls, lands right on his arms, face, and chest, and you just see him bounce. You worry about rib fractures anteriorly, but also posteriorly because the energy squeezes and can go out any direction. He lands on his chin, so you worry about whiplash injury as well as mandible fractures, dental fractures, and then obviously any type of laceration or abrasions.
How bad is it? I want to look.
Oh yeah, no, that's cut open, dude.
Hard to see with the blood there if it's a through and through laceration versus abrasion. This individual definitely needs to be monitored because that's a fall on concrete, big massive head injury. If there's any type of confusion, nausea, vomiting, it needs to either be watched for.
You must be aware of what the injury was because it was a fractured radial head, which is common from bracing when your wrist doesn't give out, radial head does. What the heck?
4 hours, or taken to the emergency department immediately to get a CT scan of the head and possibly of the jaw, especially if the jaw does not feel right.
I think Garrett was like relatively fine from that, if I remember. I think he just had to get stitches. I didn't think, maybe he was concussed, I don't know, but I don't think he had like any, like, I don't think he broke any bones. Surprisingly, he didn't dislocate the collarbone in the rotation, might have saved him from that. Yeah, I mean, that was a pretty bad slam.
Learning new skateboarding tricks takes a lot of energy and dedication as well as focus.
What sponsor is it? A food one, maybe?
Instead of reaching for that like classic energy drink, maybe try something out there called Level Up. Check it out,
Yeah, okay,
lifehappens.com or on Amazon.
Nice. I knew it.
Oh,
Dang,
oh,
I've never
seizure.
seen anyone have a seizure. That would be too traumatic. I've never seen someone have a seizure at the skate park.
We see a tonic-clonic type motion of head trauma causing a seizure. So seizure activities, we have multiple different types of seizures. You have grand mal seizures, aka tonic-clonic.
Did have micro
where it's
wrist fracture,
tight,
okay.
not tight, tight, not tight. And then you can have partial seizures or petit mal, which are like almost like small or absent seizures where you don't even tell, but somebody's kind of just like staring into space. Wow. You can also have hypoxic events where somebody passes out having a little bit of shaking and you think it's a seizure. So individuals, a situation like this looks like a seizure, we need to protect them. So if there's big movements of the head, you increase the risk of having more head trauma where they smack the head against the ground. Typically, you want to log roll this individual to their side. The reason why you want to do that is basically protecting the airway. There's an increased risk of aspirating, vomiting, or even just aspirating on saliva into the airway and causing issues. There you go. Okay.
Yeah, if I see someone seizuring, I'm calling an ambulance. I'm not playing.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
The friend is good by trying to pat the head. Please do not try to stick your fingers in somebody's mouth. If you're worried about them choking on something, they can bite your finger off. Obviously, you got to call 911, so they did the right thing. Trying to discern the difference between a seizure and a syncopal episode or passing out. The person who wakes up from a syncopal episode or passing out will just be like, what the heck just happened? Somebody who stops seizing is still going to be out of it, and they'll wake.
Have I ever had a concussion? No, I haven't actually. I've never really hit my head that badly. Just minory stuff. Like, I've never hit my head and said, oh, I gotta get to the hospital. I've never done that. They say Garrett's girlfriend had a pretty serious head injury skating a few years ago, lost taste for like a year. That's insane. Man, honestly, like, if something like that happened to me, I probably would just wear a helmet for the rest of skating. Taste for a year is crazy. How did it come back? Like, does it just one day you're like, oh, it's back now?
Wake up very confused, sometimes even quite combative because they've just short-circuited their brain, basically.
Mike says the doctor's not old enough.
Oh!
That looked like he was fine.
Weight just taken right.
That looked like it.
Oh!
I didn't think it broke.
All of the weight just taken right into the axilla, upper part of the left arm, and then the forearm gets stuck. What?
Is he pointing at the shoulder? I wasn't in his wrist.
Injuries
I mean,
that
I
we worry about.
guess.
Obviously, that injury can cause a dislocation of the left shoulder
Yeah, okay.
itself, or a fracture relating to the shoulder anywhere in this area, and then it could even cause a mid-humerus fracture. Just depends on where it gets hit. So if you get fractures, obviously
Should
it
make a
needs
video of
X-rays,
this
and we
of
need
Garrett.
to see if they're displaced or not. If they're displaced, we have to do.
I wonder if this
reduction,
guy's done this
basically
type of video
meaning
before.
Sedation and putting it back in realignment.
Like,
and
obviously,
putting a
he's
splint.
obviously this is the format type that he does, but I wonder if he has other skating ones.
And then the question ends up being, do you need surgery or not? If there's a good reduction, sometimes you do not.
Uh-oh.
Oh, that ankle.
All right.
Just
All right. Is he going to say it's broken? I feel like that's pretty typical rolled ankle.
do not.
I'm kind of curious what he's going to say.
Oh, that ankle just went the wrong direction. Ooh, Nelly. Fracture dislocation.
Wrong
is my
direction.
first bet. Sometimes you can just dislocate it. Treatment
Dislocation.
will initially be the same. So you want to stabilize it, give somebody pain medication, and be seen at the hospital. Pre-hospital setting, they'll stabilize it, put you in whatever splint they have, give you pain medication, get you to the hospital. We need to get x-rays of this. Definitely double check that you have good pulses.
Push those pills? Bro, that's what I was thinking too. Why are you talking about pills in a medical scenario? I thought you meant to tell us what's broken and what the recovery is. What does pills have to do with any of that?
Mid-shaft fracture, right of the forearm, both bones are broken. Fracture of the radius, which is the
Wait, I
bone
missed it.
along the forearm. This, definitely double check that you have good pulses.
Yeah, classic.
Mid-shaft fracture, right of the forearm, both bones are broken. Fracture of the radius, which is the bone along the thumb side, and then the ulna, which is on this side. Obviously, you got to check to make sure there's no vascular injury. Make sure that their nerves are all intact. For these, don't go to the urgent care because there's the potential of having to do a reduction. So what happens is you have these two bones that are now potentially off from each other, and when you try to reduce it, get both of them to line up perfectly, but it doesn't happen every single time. Nice. There's a pull. Oh, that's pretty cool.
Oh, he's fine. He's
Luckily, the
fine.
pole is actually wider. If it was a lot smaller point, then you increase the risk of
He
rectal
landed it after
trauma
that. There's
versus
no
this is
way he
most
didn't.
likely probably just trauma around the tissue of the butt. But I get concerned about fractures of your ischial tuberosities.
He's
or
not gonna
your
break his
pubic
coccyx on
rami,
that.
all because of where the bones are. So you do increase the risk of having fractures back there. Unlikely tailbone fractures. I'm more worried about things relating to the perineum as well as the butthole. If you guys enjoyed this video, definitely check out this playlist right here.
I don't know. Did I enjoy the video? I feel like it was kind of weak, to be honest. I feel like it's kind of sloppy.